couple of left turns, and you are there at Marshfield Chevrolet.
Hold on a second. What's going on here?
Can you not? Is everything all right?
No, the microphones aren't in the right places, and so your old mic is apparently laying on the floor over there.
That's maybe where they want me.
Yeah. So I apologize to listeners. You're on 3 now. You're usually on 2, but apparently
Well, what was missed? Anything?
everything you just said, basically. I just got a text from one of our buddies that said Ned's mic's not on. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's on right there, and apparently not because it's laying on the floor over there. So now you're on. Welcome to Zim West. I don't know what we are. We're here. We're in the building. We're good. Microphones everywhere. Video
I wonder
camera.
how many even know about that. And
I don't know enough about it to be able to comment educationally on it. But our streaming camera is sitting here on a table. We need 911 to the studio, please, because we've got interviews coming up that we would like to stream and stuff. But anyway, good morning, Ned. How are you?
Well, you're asking a loaded question. Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, I hear you. You're out yesterday. Everything good?
24 hours ago, I was undergoing a treatment, as it were, and it weren't no fun, believe me.
Those implant transplants are tough.
And they sometimes don't work.
Yeah. And you could barely get in the door of that thing this morning. But glad to have you back. Yesterday,
Thanks,
big news day. We don't know. We don't know what we can say, what we will say, what we should say. We'll just say sports, and we'll talk sports.
Let me real quickly say, since you missed most of it, Play It Again Sports is one of the key sponsors of our show. So is Swing Right Golf, Citizens Bank of Rogersville, and Marshfield Chevrolet. They are our key sponsors. We'll talk more about them a little bit later on. What do we have on the docket for today?
Assuming we get through to 9 o'clock, we've got coming up at 7:30. We're going to talk to Jordan Burns, the architect of the outstanding Nixa Live student broadcast program down there. We've told you all summer that we're looking for summer stories and kind of things we typically don't get to during the stick and ball sports when they start up. But Nixa Live years ago started this under Burns, a program that's now become kind of raised the bar on student broadcasting locally and regionally with games on YouTube, on their own channel, things like that look like an ESPN-type broadcast. We're going to dig in with Jordan and find out how it came about, what others are trying to do. You'll love talking to him because he started a young sportscasters production camp this last spring, too, for other schools.
Well, this is very similar to what Dave Davis did out at Hillcrest.
It is, and it's not. It's kind of both. Dave put together a show with HTV, and they did great in-depth interviews, and this is more of a live production type deal.
Is it solely donated to sports?
No, they'll do graduations, they'll do other things like that, award ceremonies. They did the Jackson Cantwell announcement, things like that. So we'll talk to Jordan Burns at 7:30. 8 o'clock, Coach Casey Woods, Missouri State football. Going to grab him before they get into the heat and the heart of the preseason drills for the Bears. Coach Woods is going to join us at 8. And then at 8:30, there may not be any kind of merger or sale after we get done with it, because coming on with us is our old buddy, Ken Iggy Strode from St. Louis. So we haven't talked to Iggy in a while. Iggy was our first producer over at, we can't say the other station, whatever we are now.
Because we are together now. Or we'll be.
But Iggy was our first producer, and we were reminiscing with Art yesterday after we left the air that I remember when one of our first shows, Iggy had a Rolodex, the size of a phone book, and we had on a young Albert Pujols on his debut with the St. Louis Cardinals.
I want you to emphasize that. He had not played any pro baseball and was not designated to play. However, this guy by the name of Bonilla, who now celebrates $1 million every year, was unable to play in the opening. I don't even think he was with the team for their opening. The Colorado Rockies is where the Cardinals opened that day. Well, Strode got a hold of this Albert Pujols, who had won his spot in the starting line, never went back after this. And he gave us an interview. I must admit I don't remember how well the interview went, but by the same token, we had him on. First, hadn't even stepped foot on the plate yet, and we had him.
the thing was, and you couldn't really, I don't even remember in 2001 if we had Google. Did we have, I mean, we had internet, I think, starting up then. But I
didn't have a cell phone, I know that.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you didn't get that till 2023, so that's, Iggy goes, we've got this rookie, in first baseman, or was he an outfielder when he came up? First baseman. Albert Pujols, and we didn't know how to pronounce his name, and we were looking it up, and all that, and had him on that day, and all it was because Iggy knew the phone number to the traveling secretary, who was on the road in Colorado, and that morning they were already there getting ready to play, and Iggy hooked us up, and I don't know what the archive capabilities were at Meyer back then, but I would love to see if we have that anywhere, because that would be awesome to play now.
Most likely not, though. Yeah. I hate to say that.
Are you saying that Mr. Meyer wasn't tech savvy and we didn't have those?
No, I'm just saying he wasn't tech savvy and
didn't have those things. So anyway, Ken Iggy Strode. Iggy's been on as a producer on air in St. Louis. I think he's back on air, but time to catch up with him, get his thoughts on the Cardinals and everything sports, and hopefully the FCC is on summer vacation this week.
Iggy is, I think the expression is loose cannon when you put him on there. He can talk about anything. He's a very bright guy, very bright, very
super
articulate.
Sharp, yeah.
And he can come on and talk about anything, and sometimes does elaborate.
I think I remember Art saying yesterday in our discussion that we got all those great guests because Iggy convinced them that we were in the St. Louis market.
Well, that is right. I remember was it manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Tommy Lasorda?
Tommy Lasorda. Yeah. Tommy Lasorda was on with us, and he said, "Hey, I want to especially say hello to the guys up on the hill." Wait a minute now. We don't have any hill here in town. Yeah. That way he had told them. This is
that makes sense now. Yes, absolutely. So anyway, we'll talk to Iggy at 8:30. So good show, fun show, and of course coming off a Wednesday night. Not a lot to get to, but the Cardinals had some drama. They scored us through 9 innings, and they pulled out in 10.
It was a very interesting baseball game, too, in a lot of respects, because it may have been a showcase for Dustin May, and if it was, and somebody had to be impressed. He only pitched 5 innings. That was probably by design. There were 5 other Cardinals relievers after that who shut down the Cubs until the 10th. And it was, I think, Pete Crow Armstrong, who hit a 2-run homer. You thought to yourself, that's ball game. But the Cardinals came back. The Cubs pitchers, the Cub relief pitchers, could not get anybody out.
No, and they, if there's any team in baseball that's just been ravaged in terms of pitching staff by injuries, it's the Cubs. Mm-hmm. From the starters to the bullpen. Matthew Boyd was out for quite a while. He pitched well for the Cubs yesterday, and both teams scoreless through 9. Ivan Herrera with the walk-off hit there for a 3-2 win in 10, and you mentioned May pitched well, probably his last, you would think maybe his last start for the Cardinals.
Well, you have to think it probably was, because the Cardinals made it public yesterday that their 2 guys said, hey, you can talk to us about May and Ryan Stanek. Now, why the latter in there? Who'd want him? Because although he did pitch last night, he's not really your quintessential bullpen stopper. But be that as it may, we'll see.
And the thing with May, we've talked about it all week, and the trade deadline coming up on Monday, but he's makes more money than anybody in that Cardinals pitching staff, and he's been effective. And there's teams out there that are looking for a potential number 3, number 4 starter, and that's what Dustin May probably is for a lot of really good teams right now. But so the Cardinals get the win in the 3rd game of the series. They finish it up today. Going into last night, I saw a graphic on MLB Network. Cardinals had lost 15 of their last 21 since July 5th, and that was the 2nd worst record in baseball since that time. And kind of getting back to what you were talking about with the trade deadline, the only 2 untouchables, apparently, according to Chaim Bloom, are Jordan Walker and J.J. Weatherholt. Everybody else could be had in the right deal. And I think that's an indication when you look back at the Cardinals at AAA and you look at AA, they're stacked. I mean, there's guys that if they can get, another level prospect like a Weatherholt, they'll deal some of those Mason Wins and people like that.
There is a Baez in Memphis. There's a Baez in Springfield.
Everybody needs a Baez.
They do.
Baez, your Baez right now because they're hot properties. But, yeah, and I was reading a conversation between Dave Davis, who was in yesterday, did a great job, and then Lindell. And Davis asked Lindell if Baez, the one here now, could play third base. And I think he has some in the past because if you don't deal Mason Wynn, which you probably shouldn't because he's got a chance to be really good for a lot of years, then you could play the young Baez eventually at third base and have a pretty good dang infield.
I'm really a little bit surprised that Wynn's name was not included among those untouchables, but evidently that's not the case.
I think it's, he's very good. He's very good for what they want right now. Offensively, there's another level they would like to see him hit, I think, with the bat. Because, defensively, he's right there already.
Well, he's a kid, though.
He is, yeah, and I think that's why they're not openly saying, hey, take Mason Wynn. But anybody else other than Walker and Weatherholt could be had, and I think that's a great approach to go into the trade deadline with there as well. Today, Andre Palante and then Javier Assad for the Cubs. In the finale, it's a 1:15 first pitch. You'll hear it. I take that back on the afternoon games.
No, it's 1:15.
No, but I mean on terms of the radio, and they are on this afternoon.
Oh, I would assume all games are.
Well, there's a clarification there though that the streaming part of it is not on. I believe. But if you're listening to over-the-air radio, you'll get the game here on 102.1 The One. Then the Cardinals go on to Toronto for the weekend for a 3-game set there against probably one of, if not the biggest disappointment this year, the Toronto Blue
I would
Jays.
have to label them as the disappointment because here's a team that was World Series last year, a competent team that just simply has been totally unable to really reach any pinnacle that they had expected for themselves.
And there's one place you can start with the whole thing. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is sitting on, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 home runs on the year.
That's it.
And about 38 to 40 RBI. He has been nothing. You saw him in the postseason last year, and he was just the stud that you think he's going to be. They got nothing out of him. But between him and Kyle Tucker, who the Dodgers paid a lot of money to come in and be very mediocre, those have got to be the two guys that you're kind of scratching your heads going, wow, where did that not come from here? So Royals beat the Twins 4-0 to even that series up, the rubber game today.
Okay, now you tell me who is Randy Dobnak.
I think it's like I think I said this the other day, but in the movie Step Brothers, Brennan and Dale meet their what will eventually be their dad and stepdad, and his name's Dobak. And every time I see Randy Dobnak's name, I want to say Dobak, Mr. Dobak, and I think, wasn't he a Uber driver or something at one point?
I think that's right, yeah.
But gets his first win since 2021, I think. Five years ago, his last victory. Goes 7 shutout innings, allows 4 hits and a walk, strikes out 4. The Twins, just when you think they're one of those teams that's kind of in the thick of things, they put Byron Buxton back on his proper home, the IL, which is where he lives, and they're very mediocre offensively when he's not on that.
The Dobnak kid has been a Royal since late June and picked him up from the Seattle Mariners. The guy's been all over the big leagues. He's not a kid. He's early 30s, I believe, which is a kid to us, but not in baseball circles. But he pitched very well. Strikes out 4 through 7, as Scott just told you, and then totally shut down the Minnesota Twins.
And the Twins, Ryan, not a great start, just an okay start. That's another guy they would shop if they could get some prospects back. The Twins have a pretty good minor league system, too, so they're a couple pieces away from, in a very mediocre division, being one of the teams that should challenge year in, year out. But
they're AA teams over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Wichita now. And so, but yeah, Joe Ryan falls to 6 and 7. He'd given up 6 home runs in his last start. This one wasn't terribly better. Royals and Twins finish up 12:40 today in that finale. Noah Cameron versus Bailey Ober. Then the Royals are off to Colorado for the weekend for 3. They did have to put Vinny Pasquantino back on the IL with some wrist soreness. It's just been a nightmare for Royals fans of what they thought it might be and what it actually has become this year. So we got more to talk about, baseball and more, so let's take a break and come back and do it after this.
We will do so on the starting lineup. Stay right where you are. Thank you.
We got our tune up. We're back to go. Yeah. Mics are where they need to be. Cameras where it needs to be. We are back
and
to
the language is where it needs to be.
The language is where it needs to be. Let's see here.
Great having you with us on the starting lineup, folks, and welcome back. I'm Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
All right, man, what do we have? You've already gone over the guests.
Yeah, we have gone over the guests. I need to get this camera thing set back up here. But the Springfield Cardinals, they get a 7-4 win over Wichita yesterday. They have now taken the first two in this series. Rainiel Rodriguez, their top hitting prospect in the organization, with 2 more home runs yesterday. He has 11 now in Double-A, and I think what he started, he got a little bit of a taste of, I'm trying to remember on Rodriguez. He started High A, didn't he, this year, and then came up?
Believe he was. I think he was in Peoria and then came up. I'm not sure of the chronology there, but I think that is right.
Well, he's 19 years old, and he's living up to that billing. He's
a good player.
He is going to be a guy that, and I've seen speculation. Is he a catcher? They still think so. I mean, they'll catch him and they'll play him at first base. He's got a little bit of Ivan Herrera in him.
Well, the thing about him is he does not look his age. He looks older than that, but he's short and stocky now. By short, I'm not talking
you're right. He may be 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, in that vicinity, but very stocky, built like a catcher, and which is what he is, but only 19 years old, and that says something about the skill level there.
It does, and a guy that, we were just talking about getting backed up in your system, not the way that we do now at our age.
Or that Ned Reynolds has.
Yeah, but the actual minor league system, players getting backed up a little bit, and the Cardinals are kind of getting there with catchers, with outfielders, with starting pitchers. They just need 2 or 3 of those guys to kind of emerge and say, hey, I'm the guy, like a Quinn Matthews, like a Liam Doyle, people like that. But anyway, good win for Springfield, 7-4 yesterday. The series continues tonight, goes through Sunday. Get over to Route 66 Stadium and check it out, because you're not going to see Rainiel Rodriguez and Liam Doyle here much longer.
I think there's a good chance they end up this season, especially in Memphis, and then from there on, who knows.
Trade deadline, of course, coming up on Monday afternoon. A lot of eyes on Tariq Skubal and his start with Detroit yesterday. He looked, good. I mean, he looked like Tariq Skubal. He got his 1,000th career strikeout. Tiger fans gave him a standing ovation. One thing I didn't think about until I started listening to the Wiesen guys this morning about this, if they trade Skubal and get prospects, and Skubal really likes Detroit, there's a chance he comes back right after he goes and is a rent-a-player somewhere.
That is very much a possibility. The rent-a-player circumstance does exist. Now, it's not a technical it's kind of a term that broadcasters use, because the guy goes there, there's a deal made for him, and then, heck, he's a free agent. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Dustin May. He's a free agent end of the year, although I don't think he would come back to St. Louis.
Well, I don't think the Cardinals would pay Dustin May what he would want to come back, but the Tigers and Skubal, let's say that you can make a trade with the Dodgers or the Brewers. You can get a couple of everyday player prospects and another good young pitcher back, and then you can go back and get Skubal in free agency. And then, another wrinkle in it, too. It was the guys right before our show talking about the fact that would he go and try to sign a deal somewhere before the 1st of December and the whole potential shutdown, because then you can get grandfathered in on your deal. So many irons in the fire here for Tariq Skubal, and guess who his agent is? Mr. Scott Boras. Yeah. So that there aren't going to be any hometown discounts or anything like that, because Boras is involved. But
what does he take as a percentage, would you say?
A lot. You know
Between
what?
5 and 10.
Next time we have Terry Tolbert on, that's a good question to see what those super agents get on that too. And of course, it's why you see these guys signing high school kids now that have bright futures. Signing them to be their air quote NIL manager and handle that. Jackson Cantwell had one, and that's Drew Rosenhaus down in Miami. Those guys want to get a hold of these young guys, because guess who they're going to stay with if they have a good experience when the big money comes. Sure. So anyway, MLB Trade Deadline going to be a lot of fun the next 4 or 5 days. I did see where MLB Network is going live all day on Monday, as it comes down the wire, to see what deals kind of start flowing in.
Where do you happen to know? I do not. Where MLB headquarters is?
That's a good question. If I had to guess, I'd say New York. Maybe.
More than likely it is New York, which means that it'd be 6 o'clock there. and then 5 o'clock our time out here. Yeah. This is Monday we're talking about.
Not a lot of deals yet. There's kind of little pieces and parts being exchanged out there now. There was one yesterday that Logan O'Hoppe, the catcher for the Angels, was shipped off to the Rangers. He, along with Chase Silseth, a pretty good reliever, they get a minor leaguer in return. So, maybe that'll start kicking off these things.
Well, Hoppe's a pretty good player. I think he'll help Texas. He's a kid from the New York City area and has a lot of baseball acumen about him.
I think part of it, too, is that he hasn't, they thought he might be one of the centerpieces of what they were doing because he had a really good rookie year, hit a lot of home runs, hit like 250, and now he's more like every other catcher, hitting around 200 and not with the power. So I think they kind of view him more as one of those interchangeable pieces now.
He is also an individual who belies what a lot of athletes, for that matter, feel that they have to be at a big-name school. He went to Alderson Broadus in West Virginia. At D2, that's an NCAA D2, but certainly not a big name in baseball circles. And he makes it because those scouts know where everybody is.
They'll find you if you're out there and you've got skills. They'll find you. But the guy that I would recommend if you're a baseball fan and want to kind of see what's the breaking news out there, Jeff Passan on Twitter is kind of the guy. And of course, Bob Nightingale's our guy, but Passan seems to be the what's his name? Some of the various NFL reporters that are getting Adam Schefter, guys like that get the scoops. It's Jeff Passan in that world. I want to say, was he not in Kansas City at one time as a sports writer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so follow him.
So was Nightingale, for that matter.
Yeah, and the couple things that Passan said yesterday of note, that he does fully expect Skubal to be traded. And then also the one deal that seems like a done deal is Ryan Jeffers, the catcher in Minnesota, going to the Yankees because the Yankees have been awful at catcher this year. And Austin Wells is hitting like 160, I think, on the year. So those are a couple of them. But there'll be a flurry coming and very soon as well. PGA Tour is in Detroit for the Rocket Classic. There are some names here. I mean, Cameron Young's playing, Wyndham Clark's playing. It's one of those. It's kind of that in-between fringe type level of tournament.
It's a $10 million purse. Yeah. It's a little bit better than last week when Scheffler was in an $8 million purse. But the key factor is the FedEx points that are accrued by, I think I'm right on this, Scott, you correct me, but when the FedEx tournament begin, or the playoffs begin, which is next Thursday, I beg your pardon, in Tennessee and Memphis. The FedEx is a really lucrative circumstance. They're all $20 million purses except for the final one, which is a $40 million purse, and the winner gets $20 million. So you've got to be in that. But they think they limit it to 70 to begin with and then cut the field. Is that how it works?
I think it goes 70, then 50, then 30.
Yeah.
On down the line there on who gets in. A couple other notes before we go to our break and our guests coming up. This is the weekend for the Missouri State Sneaker Soiree, the 40th annual. We had Paige Grisham on last week talking about that. That is Saturday night at Great Southern Bank Arena. Will you be attending?
No, I'm not, I just physically don't feel like it.
Okay. But we'll get more details out on that today and tomorrow. NFL training camps, full squads are underway there. No news out of the Chiefs camp is always good news. Eric Bieniemy's wife, though, seems to be out of danger in her recovery and is going to survive in a
question, though, is how long is he going to be, being Eric, in that vicinity? And if you have to think it's going to be a while.
Bad news for the Bengals. Shamar Stewart, their first-round pick in 25, outstanding defensive end from Texas A&M, had to be carted off yesterday with a leg injury. They fear the worst in that one. If you play fantasy football, this is good news. Apparently, Taysom Hill is not coming back to the Saints for a 10th year, and it's good news because he screws up the fantasy football season every year because the New Orleans coaches think he's apparently Jesus and let him play wherever he wants, and they give him the ball at the goal line. So when you're looking for that Alvin Kamara touchdown and it's a Taysom Hill 2-yard run, not good for anybody. But anyway, he says he is not coming back to the Saints. He's got to be about 35.
He's not a kid. Yeah. He's definitely not a kid.
Yeah, kind of the Jose Oquendo of the NFL with the Swiss Army knife tag there. And finally, sad note, Arkansas fans, Billy Ray Smith passes away. Billy Ray Smith Jr. at age 64. He'd been battling dementia for a few years. Outstanding linebacker with the San Diego Chargers.
This has been a tough year for the Razorbacks because Billy Burnett passed away. And I think I'm right on this. He's the last of the Burnett brothers to have been, and they were a great part of the Arkansas program. So it's Billy Ray Smith. They just had some great names, great players.
You were out yesterday. I don't know if you were probably literally out yesterday whenever we had John Neighbors on.
Yes, I was out.
Yeah, John Neighbors, some pretty scathing comments on Hunter Yurachek and how, regardless of if John Calipari in basketball wins a national title, he still should not be the AD down there. So just accumulation. But this Ryan Silverfield hire is going to define Yurachek's tenure at Arkansas. And if it doesn't work, it's really too bad, too, because I think this guy is a pretty good coach. Yeah.
He had a good year. That's just it, a good career at Memphis. But what is Memphis? Yeah. It's not Arkansas. It's not the SEC. And he is, as most of you, I'm sure, are aware, in the preseason poll, Arkansas is
dead
number
last. 16.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a splash hire. And I think from the get-go, this guy's been running an uphill battle. And if he wins some games, that'll quiet. So we'll see. So let's take a time out and get to our guests.
You're listening to The Starting Lineup, and we'll be right back. And thanks for joining us on The Starting Lineup, which is brought to you by Play It Again Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, and by Marshfield Chevrolet. I'm Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And we do have a special guest.
Special guest on the line with us is the founder of the outstanding Nixa Live program, their student broadcasting program at Nixa High School. And wanted to kind of, we talked about it in summer. We've got a chance to kind of dig in and do some different things. And wanted to kind of get to Jordan on the air and talk about the origin of that and kind of where things are headed. So, Jordan, good morning and welcome in.
Good morning. Good. Thanks for having me. And
Scott, if I can interrupt for just a second.
Yeah.
Jordan has a last name, too.
Did I say Jordan Burns? Did I not say it? Well, he's kind of like Pele and Madonna and people like that in Nixa these days. He's just Jordan. He's actually Burns. Nobody calls you Jordan, do they?
Yeah, most of them just call me Burns.
Yeah. I spent 11 years at Drury, and no, I didn't know Brian Reynolds' first name until about 5 years in. He was just Reynolds.
Well, didn't they refer to you as Purrier?
I was, until Marcus came along there. But, Jordan Burns on with us. And Burns, good morning.
Yep.
Yeah, one to kind of dig in and tell us about, because Nixa Live it's now a full-blown, full-scale production when you guys do a ball game. Kind of talk about the humble beginnings, how it started, and how you got the idea that this is something that is going to be needed and necessary going forward with most high school programs.
Yeah, so I graduated from Ozark, actually, and they had a program my junior and senior year, and got involved in it and kind of got the taste and idea and knew I was wanting to be a business teacher. And so I said, I need to take this on the road wherever I get my teaching job, and I landed at Nixa. And when I first got to Nixa, they had a single camera broadcast that someone from district office ran. But I'm like, we need to make this student involved and get as many students we can involved in this and make it just a bigger blown up production. And it took a few years to get the idea going and started. And it started with one camera and a couple of adult announcers. And now we've blown it into takes 14 students to run a full broadcast for us now with student announcers, replay, graphics, sideline reporters, sideline cameras, the whole 9 yards. So it's a little ESPN production, and it's just crazy where it started and now where it is after this will be year 5 officially for the class. So
that's awesome.
Jordan, how do you recruit the students, number one, and the guys who are coming in, and gals for that matter, coming in? How long does it take them to realize, hey, this just isn't all fun and games, and start them?
Yeah, so I just word of mouth, and we started with 6 kids, and so I got 6 kids that would stay after school and try to work games with me, and so we did that. And then we got to the point where I'm now up to 60 kids, and I've got 3 classes worth of stuff. So that's kind of the fun part. Just it was word of mouth, and we're out and visible at games, obviously, especially in the gym. We've got our whole studio up there set up, and so people notice it and look at it and ask questions, and students see other students running cameras, and like, I want to try that out, and so they join the class, and we get them involved, and that's a lot of it. A lot of times they're like, oh, this is not just only fun, but this is serious. Like, we have a lot of viewership. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping our baseball team would make a little bit of a longer run. Last year, we just got under 199,000 viewers for the year. across 165 games. And so I was really hoping to get that 200,000 mark. We didn't quite get there, but it's one of those things, like when the students realize how many viewers that are watching night in and night out, they have to take it a little more serious, and then they hold each other a little more accountable.
I think one of the big victories for your program came when Josh Scott and Springfield Public Schools came to you and said, hey, would Nixa Live like to broadcast our Tournament of Champions, basketball Tournament of Champions games? Big moment for you guys, and still is going forward as what will be year 3 coming up this winter.
Yeah, exactly. That was a huge accomplishment to even get the question asked. And Josh Scott loves to joke about it. He asked Brandon Clark, IAD, if Nixa Live would be interested. And before he finished his sentence from Brandon, I absolutely said, yes, we'll do it in a heartbeat. I've been around, like I said, I graduated from Ozark, so I've been around Tournament Champions from as long as I can remember. And so it's just a huge tournament. It was a huge honor to be able to get to work that game or work that tournament. And we do all 12 games, and the kids have an absolute blast. We get them out of school, and it's basically a 8 to midnight job every day. So I take them home, they get a couple hours of sleep, and we go right back up to the gym and get stuff set up ready and ready to roll.
In dealing with the kids, Jordan, who are just coming in, and then some of those who've been there for a while, is there a key element that you have found as a teacher that they do not know or do know or are willing to learn? One particular element of broadcasting?
Really, a lot of them don't really know anything, especially the camera operators. That's where we usually start kids. They have no idea. I mean, they've obviously shot or take pictures and shot video on their phones, but it's different when it's an actual professional grade camera where they're having to change settings and get focus set and get people framed in the right shot. So that's kind of the big thing. And then announcing, I've been blessed so far that our announcers have just been outstanding, and they just kind of feed off each other. They've set the expectation so high that now every kid that gets into the seat and in the announcing spot, they know what's expected of them, and they've just set that bar high. And Scott's son, Nate, was a prime example of that. He's one of our first announcers, and he's gone on to Arkansas and done some great things down there in their broadcast program. But they set the bar so high to start that our announcers have just kind of found their groove. They get to do JV games for basketball and various other sports. So they've heard themselves and they've talked before they get on a football broadcast or a basketball broadcast. But it's really neat to see them just kind of grow, because that's definitely not one of my specialties is announcing. You're not going to hear me get on air very often unless it's just a dire, desperate need. And so they're the ones, they really just kind of take it on themselves and know they have to hold this standard and just do an outstanding job. And those announcers, especially for football, they're working all week long, getting research, talking to coaches. They call away coaches, which I thought they were crazy. I'm like, there's not going to be a high school coach that's going to want to talk to some random high school kid that's doing the away broadcast. But nowadays, it's almost every coach is excited to talk to them. Some of them talk to them hour and a half long. And just the away coaches are starting to realize, like, we have such a viewership that they also want their team recognized. And so that's what they do. We try to tell the coaches, like, hey, we want to recognize your program just as much as our Nixa program, and share the light of what your program is all about. And so tell us everything you want to tell us. And so that's kind of been a neat thing. Like I said, I thought they were crazy to try to interview that away coach, but nowadays it's week in and week out we're interviewing them. So pretty neat to see. And
I appreciate you saying that. And Ned, I think my son's a great example. He was a freshman at Nixa, didn't know what he wanted to do, had no career path in mind yet because he's 15. If he has his boxers facing the right direction, it's a victory for us at that age. And he asked Burns asked him, hey, I need an announcer for the 7th place game of the Nixa Invitational basketball tournament. And Nate's always been a sports fan. He said, I'll try it. He got in there, and, that first play-by-play where he knew nobody from either team, in terms of background, it was two teams, like a Kansas City team and Springfield Central.
Is this a literal situation?
Yeah, it was live,
and it was the 7th game of the tournament,
seventh place game, and he'd never done it before. And I've always asked Burns, can you get me a copy of that tape, because number 7 passes it to number 5, and all that. And then by the time he's a senior, he thinks he's Gus Johnson on there doing Nixa football, and guys like Ryan Ratone ahead of him were teaching him, and you've got a progression now just like a sports team where the announcers before, the young ones learn from them, and then they're teaching somebody later on. But I'll just say that to kind of cap that, the best part about your program is it does give kids a career path to at least think about. And, Nate went to Arkansas thinking he was going to be an announcer. He pivoted to video production, he's done RSN games for 3 years, the Razorback Sports Network. The first year, he goes from being the lead announcer at Nixa his senior year to rolling in cable and wire down there as a freshman. So they learn all aspects if they want to, and it does give them something maybe to look down the road to, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I've got a handful of students that have went on to college and done those things like Nate, and I've got a bunch of kids that one of them is a lawyer now, and so it's just
which is always handy if you guys say something on air, like Ned and I worry about it every morning, But well, take us to the evolution of it, because you weren't a journalism major. You weren't into that side of it, I guess. So when you went to Ozark High School, you went to Evangel for your education, business administration, I think you said was the major. But talk about how you got into this side and then how that translated to you starting it at Nixa.
Yep. So really it was me at Ozark getting a little dip of it and just being involved with it. And it wasn't anything like we have here at Nixa, but it was enough to get that kind of fire started underneath me. And so then when I got to Nixa, I got my first teaching job. I was like, we need to make this happen. So like I said, started with a few kids and wanted to just continue to grow it and grow it and grow it. And I have a little bit of a background in AV, but not anything like what I'm running now. And so it's just me been learning on the spot and really been the kids testing me. That's been the fun thing about it. Like anything that we've added throughout the year, it's been a student, hey, we need to add this, or can we do this? And me trying to scramble around, find something to make it work. And then we get it to work, and then we add it to our broadcast and continue it on and kind of keep that thing going throughout the years. But it's been all student led. So if they want to make a new graphic, we have the students come up with the ideas. We try to find a way to make that work within our show. And then we put it out live to the public. And so it's been fun to see. It's all, my vision has always been like, I enjoyed that experience in high school. I want to give other students the opportunity to do that same type of thing. And like you said, maybe have a career path that they weren't thinking about. And so that's kind of where it started and how it was. One of my first announcers, Trey Hartwell, for football and basketball, he came, or I asked him, I said, hey, would you want to be a part of this? And he flat told me absolutely not. And it took probably a month or two later, and he finally decided he wanted to try, give it a shot, and join the crew. And we got him on air at some point. And now he does it for Evangel, does their play-by-play in games for Evangel Sports and all sorts of fun stuff. So he's kind of found his little groove there. So just a way for a student to connect with sports that maybe aren't involved in sports, or they are involved in sports or just want to get into other sports. Like we got plenty of guys that play football that do volleyball games or basketball games on our crew. And we've got kids that have never touched an athletic field in their life that are also a part of the crew. So it's neat to see them all come together, work together, and put on these shows that we do. So
we live in a copycat society without question, and the COC is very competitive. When you guys started doing what you were doing and the viewers piled up and visiting teams played you, I'm sure that people were picking your brain. Hey, how do we do that? And I know you've been blessed with the Nixa administration and support that if you need something, they find a way to make it happen. Can all schools do this at some level? And is that kind of what you're teaching with some of your consultations and camps with people that call you?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every high school can do it, big or small. Like I said, I'm blessed with 60 kids, but I started with 6. And we had 1 camera. And so that's definitely something that's capable for any school. The technology now is getting cheap enough too, where it's not super expensive to do something fairly basic. And so, yeah, you kind of talked about that camp. We had a workshop on April 1st at Nixa that we hosted and got to bring 100 students from around the area. There were 13 or 14 different schools there. And then we had a teacher from Louisiana even come up and just want to see what it was about and what we were doing. And so that was a really neat experience and something we're going to continue to do in the future just to get more and more schools around here and hopefully across the nation at this point to they can just show them that it is possible to do what we're doing here at Nixa, big or small, but you got to start somewhere. And that's the big thing, and just getting started and just trying to gradually grow the program. That's what we did at Nixa. We started with one camera, then we added a couple cameras, and then we decided to add a sideline camera just to try out. And it was such a hit by everyone that we ended up buying 3 more cameras that year from a sponsor, so that we could have multiple field cameras. We did debuted it at a football jamboree one day on the video board, and everyone loved it so much that we had 2 cameras basically at our doorstep the next day to continue that. And so I had to go find some more kids to make that work. But that's the fun thing about it. Like, we don't have a network that we're required to have certain requirements, so we kind of get to play around and have some fun and try new things. Sometimes I work it really well. Sometimes we have struggles. I know when we first started our sideline reporters, like about 50% of the time, you couldn't hear them, and they were just a mic and no audio at all. And so we've had to work through some of those things, and now it's a lot better. And now we actually have 2 sideline reporters that get to have another experience on air during the game.
Heck, so, Ned had that happen in KY3 on air, didn't you?
Absolutely did in many respects. Jordan, as a teacher and a potential counselor to these kids, the ones who are seniors, who show you as a teacher that they have some potential, what do you tell them to concentrate on in college and what courses to take?
Well, obviously anything media related, I always try to get them involved in whatever program that is doing the live streams or any sort of broadcast for their college. And I'll even reach out to those colleges and be like, hey, I've got a student here that would do a great job. Love for them to get in your program and get up to the higher levels and be able to do what they would like to do. And so I always trying to tell them, but the biggest thing is, for what I tell them to do, is get involved and try every aspect of the broadcast out. Kind of like what with Nate, like he was dead set on being an announcer. But some of those spots are hard to pick up sometimes. And so if you know everything in the broadcast, one, that's just going to make you a better employee and person on the broadcast, because you know how everyone else has to work together to make it happen. But I try to tell them, like, try anything. Like, and even with our program, like, very few times do I have just a singleton person who they only do one job. I try to move them through various aspects, whether that be graphics, replay, running cameras. Like, I want them to get used to various different spots so that when that opportunity happens, they can take it and then hopefully run from there to go whatever position they want to in the future. But just try to get them to experience more than just one position or be dead set on one position.
What's your record for views on one event, live views?
I don't remember. I think it was a state championship of football when we were audio only. We had 15,000. 17,000 for one was the Jackson Cantwell signing, actually.
Yeah.
They may have even been closer to 18,000. I don't remember for sure. But for football game, we average anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 viewers. Basketball, it's anywhere between 800 to 1,500, and you get up to a Kickapoo Nixa game, and we might be pushing 2,000. And so what's crazy to me is you have all those viewers online, but when you go to our gyms, a lot of time, or even the field, like, those places are usually pretty full.
Yeah.
And so that's one of our other kind of unique things, I feel like, at Nixa. Not only are we doing the live stream, but we're also doing the in-house video boards. And so we try to bring an entertainment factor to those people in-house. We don't want them to shy away and only watch our broadcast online. We want them to be in the moment, fill the stands, kind of get the energy up in there and get the Nixa crowd excited, get our students excited, and just have a great atmosphere, not only online, but also in-house.
Well, I know lots of grandmas and grandpas across the country appreciate those free live broadcasts, too. You were talking about the great announcers you've had. I want to get your thoughts and rating on your play-by-play baseball announcer, Nixa, basketball coach Brock Blanson. What are his strengths and weaknesses?
Well, it's probably a D- is what I give him. No, he does a great job. We love Brock, and he had Jeremy McCoy, our junior high athletic director, on a lot of times this year as well. But those two guys, they're a handful and a lot of fun to listen to, that's for sure.
Do you ever go back and before we let you go, one of the cool things, Ned, you probably do this too, is like on NFL Network or SEC Network, they'll show old broadcasts and they'll condense them down to an hour. Like I watched the Rams-Titans Super Bowl the other day, and it's just crazy to think how far behind we were, how far we've advanced technologically just in that time. Do you ever look back at the original early days of Nixa Live broadcasts and look at today and go, wow, we've come a long way?
Yeah, getting ready for that workshop, I actually went back and watched a few games from the very beginning. I'm like, how did anybody ever watch this? I'm like, my goodness. There was audio cutting in and out, or we had spikes in audio. We had cameras not working.
Internet buffering on the road, things like that.
Yep. Yeah. So we've fixed a lot of those things, and it is crazy how far we've come. And like, I never would have thought we'd have 14 students all working together on one single game, getting all of this together. But it's really come together and been a fun experience to be the teacher for, and I know the students are having a blast doing it. So,
well, are you open to, and I'm sure you are because you do, but other schools, their ADs that might be listening and want to pick your brain, I guess Brandon Clark will let you talk to them as long as they're not trying to hire you away, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think you had a few that have tried to hire me away, and he still let me talk to him a little bit. So, yeah, absolutely. I've been through everything, like starting it from the very beginning, not knowing what I was doing to still not knowing what I'm doing. But now I've got 14 kids to also manage along the way. And so, yeah, I talked to many different schools. Like I said, I've talked to one from New York just last week, from Connecticut, kind of all over the place. It's been fun to get to talk to different ADs and teachers that are wanting to make these programs happen, and it's been fun. Very good, Joe. We appreciate your time. Anything new this year? You guys trying any? I know you've worked in drone cameras and things like that. What's new for 2026 and 27? Well, I've been fortunate enough to work with Republic Tiger Sports with David Brazil.
Yeah, does a great job.
He's created a stat program, and so we are going head over heels into stats. So hopefully integrating stats into our broadcast. You'll see drives for football, what the drive totals were, the distances. You'll see player averages and stats. You'll see a lot more stat-related things popping up throughout the broadcast, and hopefully that'll give our announcers a little more detail and information to talk about, because right now they're trying to pencil it all in, and they're missing stuff and all that. He's got a great program that allows us to put it all in and then get it synced with our graphics software, and so you'll be able to see team stats at halftime, all of those kind of fun things. We've dabbled in a little bit, but now we've got basically the full package, so we can pull just about whatever stat we want to.
Just a word of advice to teach the kids: tell them to practice ad-libbing, because that is so much of a hidden talent that isn't focused on anymore.
Coming from the master ad-libber. Yeah, a guy that can fill you out. Hey, Jordan, we appreciate it. And isn't that great, Ned? Nixa and Republic can work together. We can't get the U.S. and Iran to get things straightened out. Maybe we need to send Burns and Dave over there and get things straightened out. But, Jordan, hey, we appreciate it. Let's talk again soon, okay?
Yep. All right. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Appreciate
Thank you.
That's Jordan Burns from Nixa High School visiting with us. Timeout on the starting lineup. Right back. Say what do we have coming up?
Second hour, we're going to talk to Coach Casey Woods, Missouri State football, here at 8 o'clock. 8:30, Ken Iggy Strode, our friend from St. Louis, former producer for all of us, joining us, and Art Haynes coming up in the 8 o'clock hour.
Mid-show timeout, back in just a few seconds.